Imagine Oracle Arena's roar distilled into a single heartbeat. Now imagine it silenced by the weight of what's about to drop. The simmering tension of a saga that has gripped up Nation all off-season and shows no signs of fading anytime soon. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Because today we're diving headfirst into the explosive Jonathan Kuminga story that's been the defining narrative of the 2025 NBA offseason. And trust me, you do not want to blink here. We're 5 days deep in the free agency, and still Jonathan Kuminga remains in limbo. No deal inked, no finality with the Warriors or any other team, as he sits restricted free agent and waiting in the wings of what could be a seismic shift. For Golden State, now reflect back to last season. Young Kuminga, only 22, entering year 4 in the league, had his thunder stolen, benched in critical moments down the stretch, barely sniffing the floor in the playoffs until that brutal Western Conference semifinal series against the Timberwolves, where Steph Curry's injury forced Steve Kerr's hand and thrust Kuminga into a starring role. There, he flashed glimpses of what he truly wants: a multi-time All-Star, a ball-dominant star who commands his own shot and anchors an offense. But here's the rub. This Warriors team, the one centered around Curry's unparalleled perimeter orchestration, Draymond's defensive brilliance, and Klay's sharpshooting, doesn't run isolation ball, and Kuminga's style doesn't neatly fit their system. He's chasing a $30 million plus price tag, pleading for an expanded role, a starring spotlight that Golden State never quite handed him. It's a classic collision of ambition and blueprint, a tantalizing what-if hanging in wait. The franchise, backed by Joe Lacob's faith, has dangled the qualifying offer $7.9 million to retain their young wing, maintaining the right to match any contract. But insiders tell us this relationship feels like a powder keg. The Warriors front office, led by Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr, is cautious, refusing to part with Kuminga on the cheap. It's not just about the dollars. It's about the return on a high lottery pick who just hasn't blossomed into the future star they envisioned. Sacramento Kings threw the most concrete offer their way, a so-called buy low trade package with rising second-year guard Devin Carter, former Warrior Dario Saric, and a couple of second-round picks. But Golden State balked, unwilling to sell low, which sent ripples through the rumor mill. Just when you think you know the hotspots, the Heat, Bulls, and even Brooklyn Nets fade out of the lead role, replaced unexpectedly by the Washington Wizards, who quietly emerged as new suitors, injecting fresh intrigue into the fray. Why the Wizards? They wield assets like Corey Kispert, a 26-year-old efficient scoring wing who could slot beautifully into the Warriors system, and Kelly Olynyk, a veteran stretch big with over 40% shooting from beyond the arc last season, a mentor type who could help mold Golden State's young frontcourt, especially promising players like Quinn Cook-Sari, Quinn Poole, quintessential Warriors connector. But more importantly, the Wizards hold Golden State's protected 2030 first-round pick, a key leverage point. If Washington releases protections and hands over full control, it could unlock the flexibility the Warriors crave in this tightly capped, talent-starved league, enabling them to maneuver aggressively in future trade markets or free agency. Picture a trade where Golden State sends Kuminga and Geese Santos to D.C. in exchange for Kispert and Olynyk. Seems almost underwhelming until you realize the draft pick reclamation could be the sleeper move that rewrites this offseason's entire strategy. And just like that, what seemed like a simple player swap morphs into a complex chess match over the next decade of Warriors basketball. But wait, there's more. League sources surprisingly whisper of Milwaukee Bucks' interest, a first in this narrative, as a team desperately hunting the right pieces to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo loyal and viable in the East long term. The Bucks see Kuminga's potential and want to see if that $30 million gamble could pay off in their window of contention. Is this a wild card, a real distraction, or a bargaining chip? We don't fully know yet, but it's another thread in this tangled web. Back in the Bay, the pressure mounts. The clock ticks toward the Vegas Summer League, where face-to-face meetings between Kuminga, his reps Dunleavy, and Kerr could either illuminate a path forward or deepen the divide. Reports warn us the saga could drag well beyond July's first week, a slow-burning drama that tests the patience of fans and front office alike. And deep down, every Dub Nation heart remembers the glory, the We Believe upset run, the dynasty highs of 2015 through 2019, the roller coaster scars of title runs and bitter early exits. Kuminga's storyline feels like the turning point, a pivot that could either be the spark reigniting the Warriors' championship flame or the crack that fractures their legacy irreparably. Joe Lacob's face stands tall. He notoriously said it'd take a lot for him not to match any offer, and we saw him publicly backing Kuminga just this season, sitting with him close at the Golden State home opener, signaling a personal investment, far beyond contracts and caps. But does personal investment translate to roster fit, to championship potential? Or is it a costly allegiance? The Warriors front office appears ready to run this to the bitter end, holding out for a return that includes not just young players but a first-round pick, demarcating their ironclad demand for value rather than desperation. This offseason is allied to no easy answers. It's an elaborate dance of leverage, money, potential, and personalities. The question fans must ask is not just who comes or goes, but what this uncertainty does to team chemistry and momentum. Do we want Kuminga back, stifled and frustrated? Or do we cut the cord, even if it means losing a lottery investment, hoping the reboot is worth the price? As contracts swirl and offers slip through Golden State's grasp, the real drama unfolds beneath the surface. Will Dunleavy and Kerr's vision steer this ship clear, or will the bitter standoff fester into dysfunction that unravels the Warriors? Before the 25-26 season tip-off, will the rumored bids from the Kings, the tempting but insufficient packages, and the Wizards' late heat push this to a resolution? Or will the entire extended negotiation serve only to slow down a roster construction desperately needing clarity and continuity? And what about the fan psyche, the legendary Warriors fan base that demands excellence and has endured through injuries, roster shifts, and rebuild whispers? Kuminga embodies not just a player, but an epic crossroads, emblematic of the franchise's evolving DNA as it fights to remain relevant among an increasingly star-studded league. As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, caught between hope and trepidation, aching for a final chapter that lifts us rather than tears us apart. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty, or the crack that fractures our legacy? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand, ready to debate every possible outcome as the Kuminga Odyssey unfolds before our eyes. If your heart just skipped imagining Kuminga catching fire in a brand new uniform but still owning every ounce of respect from Oracle's ghosts, then slam your thoughts into the comments because we are nowhere near the finish line on this roller coaster. That's got Dub Nation's head spinning faster than a Steph Curry 3 in crunch time. Now, let me take you even deeper into this saga, because if we think it's just about matching contracts or swapping players, oh no, this is way bigger. It's about what kind of team Golden State wants to be for the next 5 years and beyond. Look at the West right now. Suns trying to claw back with Booker and Ayton. Nuggets weaving around Jokic's dominance. The Lakers still monarchy in theory with a slightly aging LeBron and a D. The rest of the pack breathing down their necks. Warriors aren't just fighting for wins. They're fighting for relevance. And right in the eye of that storm is Kuminga, a 22-year-old whose flashes of brilliance have every fan imagining a future where he's either the heir to Steph's throne or the spark that fuels a new kind of Warriors identity. But the brutal truth is, his season averages hovering around 12 points, 4 rebounds, and just under 2 assists don't set the world on fire like a Curry dagger or Draymond's full-court disruption. The front office watches with its usual hawk eyes, wondering if that raw talent just isn't refining fast enough, or if the system designed around ball movement and elite shooting is just squeezing the life out of Kuminga's game. And here's the tension that's crushing the spirit in the locker room. What if the standoff ends with Kuminga wanting a starring role that simply doesn't exist in this setup? What if matching an offer means fracturing the chemistry we've seen build and crumbled over the last few years? Because no matter how much we love the kid, we have to ask, could this obsession with pushing Kuminga into a role he didn't earn on the curb backfire spectacularly? Remember how even Klay struggled to find his rhythm before that miraculous comeback season? How many egos can fit comfortably in this small arena, especially when Curry still demands the ball like a maestro conducting a symphony no one else wants to disrupt? Then there's Wiggins, our unsung beast, grinding his way to a near 2073. Stat line proving every night that hustle and role clarity matter. What happens if Kuminga's return or departure shifts the balance so hard that Wiggins' groove gets disturbed? That's danger territory right there. Now flip the script. What if Kuminga does get traded? Imagine the Wizards, flush with cap, space and hungry to claw out of mediocrity, plugging him in as their centerpiece. A fresh start in a new system, potentially more isolation heavy, might unleash that 7-foot-plus explosive score we've only glimpsed. And if the Bucks are sniffing around, what does that say about league perception? Are they seeing something the Warriors don't? Giannis wants premier talent around him, and maybe Kuminga's the X-factor piece Milwaukee believes can help keep the parade rolling as they transition. So Dub Nation, what if Golden State's refusal to sell low is less about stubbornness and more about a long play, something that could shape the roster's DNA? What if that protected 31st rounder in the Wizards package pays off in a draft pick that brings in the next pool, the next Moses Moody, or a franchise-altering talent? This is a high-stakes game of wait and see, and every tick of the off-season clock ratchets up the pressure on Joe Lacob's checks, on Kerr's vision, and on Dunleavy's strategic patience. But let's not forget the human element. Kuminga's own voice, raw and unfiltered, echoing through whispers of frustration, ambition, and feeling like a caged tiger with upside untapped. The front office hears it. Steph knows it. Draymond understands what it means to fight for your role. The question that haunts is, can this team bend without breaking? Because from 5 straight finals trips, starting in 2015 to now, when whispers of roster overhauls swirl louder than Oracle's chants once did, the stakes might just be the highest we've seen in nearly a decade. Will the core Steph, Klay, Draymond embrace another transition or start quietly mourning the dynasty that once was? Look at Klay's battles with injuries that turned his recent seasons into highlight reel trapeze acts. Just to stay afloat, the resilience is there. But the fatigue is real. This is more than basketball. It's about legacy, identity, and whether the Warriors can find a new heartbeat in the face of relentless competition. And sure, fans everywhere are tired, exhausted by trade rumors that pull in every direction, by conflicting reports swirling like a Bay Area fog. Emotional whiplash as the excitement of potential meets the fear of collapse. But here's what I believe. Sometimes the storm has to get this fierce for the sky to clear. Because as someone who screamed himself hoarse for Baron Davis back in '07, who cried seeing Klay break down in '22, and who still, forever, believes Steph has one of those once-in-a-lifetime comebacks left in him, I'm telling you, this saga, the Kuminga drama, the front office chess moves, the simmering tension, this could be the prelude to a new chapter, a shot at reclaiming that Warriors' edge. Maybe it's the spark for a seismic rebuild, or the last explosive blast from this iconic core before handing the torch. One thing's for sure, this moment will define the next 5 years of Golden State basketball. And now, it's your turn. Don't hold back. Drop your fire, your doubts, your dreams in the comments. I'll be in there with you. Every hot take, every question, every bit of Dub Nation's heart. This isn't just a story about Kuminga. It's the story of us all.